Okay.
We all live, baby. Woo!
Right.
How we doing this wonderful, beautiful Wednesday evening on the Grinded Out Wednesday, baby?
We're on. 2 people are there.
Come on. Get yourselves up. Get yourselves moving. Let's go. Let's go. I'm about to blow up.
I'm gonna do whatever you do. I'm sharing us everywhere.
I'm about to blow up. How we doing this evening? Just give me a minute. I'm just saving to the platform. I think I'm saving to the platform. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, y'all.
I am sharing us. That's what I'm doing. Hello, everyone. Happy hump. Well, today's hump day. Today's Wednesday, but you don't like saying hump day. So what day is today?
Woo! You asked me what today was. How we doing, everybody, on this Wednesday grind?
Yes, yes, yes.
Good
I was
evening.
sharing.
Good evening. Good
I'm just
evening.
sharing.
Blessings to everybody.
Heather is here. My friend Saying Hi is here. Hope you're doing well, Saying. Hope you're safe over there. Hopefully nothing else has happened. How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty wonderful. Thanks for asking.
Hold on. Anyway, we're here tonight on part 2 of Being Your Own Hero. I think that's what we called it. I'm not even sure if that's exactly what it was, but more or less that is the idea. Be your own hero. So we are on part 2 because last week was so exciting. Maybe just for me. I don't know. Maybe it was just exciting for me. I love the hero talk and being our own heroes. Happy, says Heather. What's up, Raymond? You look like you want to say something.
I was waiting for the introduction.
Oh, okay. No, I just stopped because I thought
Are you gonna introduce? You just went right into it.
I'm gonna introduce myself, right? Here, shake your head. Anyway, today's my night, guys, and so my name is SARAI NAMMUR. I'm a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida, and we do this podcast together to talk about transformation and to talk about how you could pretty much transform your life. And I forget everything I was gonna say because of you. So basically, we are the transformational team here for you, and here to my other side is Raymond Wright, and he's going to introduce himself.
You already know! Anyways, I am your man, Raymond Wright. I am the founder of Right Way Leadership Transformational Coaching, where not only am I your motivator, not only am I your inspirator, but most importantly, as I always say, I am your transformator, because I am going to serve to help and to build you to get from where you're at to where you want to go, because that's what coaching is all about, is to hold you accountable for the things that you say you want. So first off, if you don't have a coach, get a coach, right? I think coaches need coaches, and I think everybody needs someone. And technically, you don't really want it to be what you call your best friend or this or that, because a lot of times they're not going to see the things that you need to get done in order to level up in your life. And that's really what this Wednesday night is all about, as most of you already know. This Wednesday night Transformational Talk with Ray and Saraí is about giving you some tools and resources, how you can be very intentional with changing your thoughts, with changing your direction, and transforming your life, that you can better yourself, your family, and the legacy that you want to leave. So with that, that's me. That's what I'm about. That's what I'm about.
All right. So today we're going to have part two of how to be your own hero. But let's remind everyone, I don't know, maybe people weren't here last week with us, but we were talking about how to be your own hero. So the way that I think of it in a way is like a hero, when you're a child, your hero is like your parent initially. You dare me? So yeah. So then you threw me every time you do that. You throw me off. I was saying something. But today we're talking about how you could be your own hero. And for me, number one, I was saying last week, number one is to be your own hero, you have to show up for yourself. Number one is that you have to be there for yourself. And that's number one for me, even though I don't have that as number one here, but it's just a reminder of what it meant last week. I think everything we're about to say follows you showing up for yourself, you being there for yourself, because, you know,
Follow the leader.
No, not follow the leader. People come and go, but you're always with yourself. You're always stuck with yourself, regardless of what happens, right? So then you constantly have to be there, showing up for yourself. So what I have as number one is to be the owner of your life. So, like, you know, when you work somewhere, I always hear people say, "Oh, take ownership of your position, take ownership of what you do." Well, we have a position in life too, and my idea is that not only do you have to show up for yourself, but you have to take ownership of your life. What does that imply to you, Raymond? If I say take ownership of your life, what does that mean to you?
What is ownership in my life means
what does it mean to take ownership of your life? What does that mean to you?
I think is I'm going to take responsibility for from this point forward on what happens, on what dictates, and the direction I want my life to go.
Yeah, because just because we're living our lives doesn't mean that we're taking ownership of our life. It doesn't mean that we're being responsible for our life. So there's a big difference between just letting, you know, we're going to live our life regardless. The clock is going to keep ticking, and day turns into night and night turns into day. But to take ownership of your life means exactly that. It means taking responsibility for your life. What are some ways that we could take responsibility for our life, do you think?
Well, I think first of all, you have to let go of the past. I think taking ownership is letting go of some of the things that have happened. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't you can't own what you don't take responsibility for. I always say it's the you know, you got to accept the things that happened. You got to approve. You know, you got to approve of the things that happen, and you got to appreciate the things that have happened, because you are where you are because of the thoughts and the actions that you took up to this current point. And taking ownership means, you know what? Maybe I haven't made the right decisions. Maybe I haven't said the right things. Maybe I haven't built the right relationships. Maybe I've done some of the things that have kept me back for so long. But today, ladies and gentlemen, is the day that I make a decision to take back everything that I have control over, which is really just yourself and your goals, your dreams, your actions, your attitude, your behaviors, and most importantly, your thoughts.
Yes, that's awesome, because it all starts with your thoughts. Definitely, it all starts with your thoughts. So you said your goals and stuff like that. So I think part of taking responsibility for your life, number one, is that, like, taking control of your thoughts, but also knowing what your thoughts are, knowing what you want out of life. I think you can't really take responsibility for your life if you're not clear on what you want. And I've been working on that, like, recently over the last few weeks. And honestly, it's really hard to do. It's really hard we never make a conscious effort. We sort of think what we want, but to make a conscious effort to define and describe what it is that you want out of every part of your life. Like, if you have to get into the activity of doing that to realize how hard it is. Like, to say, this is what I want out of my health. This is what I want out of my relationships, or this is what I want out of, you know, the lifestyle that I want, or whatever it is, to, like, actually define it. Have you ever tried doing that? Have you ever tried, like, writing it down?
Yeah, I write a lot of stuff down, and yeah, I mean, I have my journal today. I actually started writing my book today.
Your book?
Yeah.
Like a personal book? That's
well,
funny.
you know, I've been wanting to write a book for a while now, and I don't know what chapter this would be part of, but I just started writing down today, and this is probably going to be somewhere in the beginning of it. And so actually, I started this yesterday, and the title is called Afraid.
Okay.
That's the name of the chapter, not the name of the book.
I was gonna say, afraid. Is that chapter 1, or is that chapter middle?
No. I think it's just somewhere along the journey. I think somewhere along the journey is what's going on, Alexandra? How you doing, Anthony? I think somewhere along the journey, especially in a huge, you have this huge pendulum shift in your life. You know what I mean? You're so used to living one way for so long, even if it's destructive, even if it's still a pattern, it's still a habit, and it's still comfortable to you, even though it's uncomfortable. It's still comfortable because it's what you've done for so long. So I think being afraid, it's the old John Wayne saying. What's the old John Wayne saying? Courage is being scared to death and saddling up anyways, right? And I think that's what it is on this journey that we're on. What's going on, Angel? How you doing, sis?
You know what? We just hit on all my points right now. In like 3 sentences that you hit all.
Share. Let me tell you guys, she would not share her points with me. She says, I'm just going to surprise you.
And no, you hit on all of them. But man, that's funny. But it's guys, I'm going to speak not to Raymond, I'm going to speak to the crowd. So it's so important to talk about fear and tackle fear. So that's so awesome that you have a chapter called fear, because fear is the thing that stops us. Fear is the thing that doesn't allow us to move
fear,
forward. Afraid is afraid is the arm of fear. Or because you're afraid, you have fear. Okay, Alexander said you all have to do an audiobook version as you're so passionate when you
That would
speak.
be great, Alexandra. Could you imagine me? Could you imagine me doing an audiobook?
I know.
And then he got out of the boat. And what did he get out of the boat for? Dang it, I've got the wrong sentence.
So Raymond and I have been listening to an audiobook of, what's the name of that book?
It's called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
And the whole entire book is basically about fear and what fear does to you and how it derails you. And he calls it, what is that he calls it?
No, guys, listen. The book is a lot more involved than that, okay? You have to look at the book.
Your electricity's happening again.
Your electricity. Anyway,
so fear is definitely the thing that stops us, derails us, the thing that doesn't allow us to move forward. And if we're on it, we have to acknowledge that, because you know what happens? If we don't acknowledge it, we start doing justifications. We start coming up with real awesome cognitive rationales and justifications for not doing what we thought we were going to do, what we planned to do, not going towards our dreams, not going towards our goals. So in order to not be kept captive of our fears, we need to acknowledge them, say hi to them, shake their hand, and put it aside and say, okay, I'm still doing it with you standing there beside me. So it's so important that's so good that you had a chapter called fear. That's really awesome. And the other thing too that I was going to say, but you already hit it, is so we need to be aware of the associations we make. So why is fear so powerful? Because we start associating fear to the thing that we want to do, but that's going to happen regardless, right? So what we need to do is get leverage on ourselves by associating fear to not doing what we said we were going to do. So instead of thinking like, oh, what terrible thing is going to happen if I do the X, Y, or Z, instead of looking at it that way and scaring yourself to death about moving forward in that direction, why not use that same power? Because it's constantly happening to us. All of our decisions are done because we either associate pain to it or we associate pleasure to it. So what if we associated pain to not doing what we said we were going to do? What are we going to lose if we don't do what we said we were going to do? What are we never going to accomplish? What are we never going to realize? What goals what regrets will we have if we don't do what we said we were going to do? So think about that. And that's, once you start becoming more aware of it, you start learning how to apply that leverage to yourself. Like something very simple, like you don't want to get out of bed because you're tired or because you just want to chill and relax, right? And it's not necessarily that you're afraid of getting out of bed, but you're associating some kind of pain or discomfort to getting out of bed. Well, what if you instead said, you know what, if I don't get out of bed, or if I don't go to the gym today, or if I don't do whatever it is, then you could use that same power to associate it in the other direction. Does that make sense, Raymond?
Yes. I want to touch on this. Like, I don't even know if you have this in your notes, but man, when you guys look at, like, when we start to talk about this heroism, when we start to talk about the hero that we have, if you look at every single, like, we're going to just take it to the movies, right? Or the cartoons or whatever. When you look at Superman, and you look at his journey and what happened to him on his home planet, so to say. If you look at Batman, if you look at the fact that his parents were murdered in front of him, if you look at Spider-Man and you look at the fact that his uncle was murdered, every hero has a tragedy. Every hero, and this is what I want you guys to understand. Like, we're going to dive into this thing because this just hit me when Saraí was talking, is every hero uses their pain in order to push them towards their purpose of being that hero for the people, right? So I want you guys to understand this. I want you to understand this. So the pains that you've had in your life, the setbacks, the losses of a child, of a spouse, of a parent, the addictions that we've struggled, the depressions, the anxieties, whatever it is, that these pains that we've had, is we need to allow this to push us. That hero is inside of us, and these pains that we went through, those are the pains that we got to overcome in order for us to serve the people as our purpose, right? So for me, I'm a transformational and leadership coach. So what are the things that I consider myself to be a hero? How can I use my tragedies? How can I use my trials? How can I use my setbacks in order to bless other people? That's how I can become a hero, not only in my own life, but to serve those people who are going down that same rabbit hole. Those people that are sitting on the corner doing the same thing that I was once doing. Now, because of my pain, because I don't want other people to suffer, I've allowed that pain to bring out the hero on me, the hero in me, that I have the courage now to go to these people and to serve them at such a high value, right? I hope you guys understand how important it is to use our pains, to use our stories, to use our setbacks, to use the trials of our life in order to find that inner courage. And that hero in you is just the courage for you to actually act. It's the courage. The hero in you is the courage to act on what you want. But because you've been too, I was going to say wimpified, but many times, too many people, they're just, whether it's laziness, whether it's egotism, whether it's whatever it is too many people are allowing life to push past them by because they're not courageous to live their pain out in public. Woo, man, say that again.
Wow. Say that again.
Lord have mercy. Woo.
Hold yourself accountable.
Well, amen, Anthony. Amen. 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 And Anthony, and see, because Anthony knows, because Anthony's, as he says, I'm a motivational teacher to the masses. And he can't say that if he doesn't use his story to bless other people, right? And he doesn't use his pains in order to help and give other people purpose, right? But, I think there's a lot of people that are looking for a hero, and they don't even say it, especially men. I think especially men.
So what are you saying? You're saying that people need to use more of their story to leverage, to use that as a leverage for courage or to create purpose in their life?
I think this. Hey, Antoinette Marie. I think this. I think like I stated, if you look at every superhero, each one of them had massive tragedy. So if each superhero, and what happens, there's a villain. Who's the villain? Who's the villain in our life? Typically in our life, the biggest villain is ourself. It's the fear that we have. It's the pain that we allow to overtake our life. When we become a hero, which means is we give ourselves permission to have the courage to proceed in the purpose of life. And in order to truly live a fulfilled life, we first have to, we have to be accountable to God, and then we need to be accountable to self, and then we need to be accountable to people. And I think that's the important thing, is so your story, people don't, there's a saying, and it says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
But once they know you care, you better know something. So
Right. Right.
I do believe your story. I don't believe any of us, Antoinette Marie uses her story, in the corporate world. You know what I mean? Because we think that we're doing something by wearing the masks of what people think we are. But when all superheroes realize, if you look at Superman, in the one episode of Superman, he ran away. He ran away into like the ice mountains, remember? And they came and they started to destroy the world, right? Or whatever, And what he did is he had to find himself. What happened with Batman? Batman did the same thing. He started to question himself. Spider-Man, the same thing, started to question himself. Right? When you look at Thor, I know I'm talking about all these, but when you look at Thor, what happened with Thor? Thor got separated, from his hammer, so-called to say. He became an average. So everyone goes through these trials. Everyone goes through these pains because they start to reflect on the pain of their life. They start to reflect on who they thought they were supposed to be until they realize the true hero in them, right? And I think that's where we have to find ourselves, is the things that happen to us, the things that set us back, the pains that we live through is exactly what's supposed to catapult us into this hero in ourselves, because it's all about helping other people. It's all about serving other people.
So like when you described each of these superheroes and what they went through and how they had to go through that pain, to me, I was visualizing like a transformation. So it's during that time where we're shutting off like our old identity. And that identity for all of us here comes from our life experiences. It comes from our life experiences, from what was said to us, from what happened to us, all of that. We start acquiring this identity about ourselves that it could have even been true at some point in time in our lives, or maybe never true, but things that were said to us. But we were so attached to that identity. And it sounds like that's what you're saying. Like, then at some point we need to sort of break through that and shed that identity to really discover the true hero inside of us. Yes. And it sounds like that's what you're trying, like what you're saying to everyone is, and also another question is like, at what point is everyone, all the listeners here, are you someone who is stuck in that old identity? Are you someone who is struggling in trying to shed that old identity? Or are you someone that's on the other side? And I just feel also that it's sort of like a snake, or like I always have like bearded dragons. I used to have bearded dragons, and they shed frequently. So I think in life we're constantly needing to shed. We have multiple transformations in our life, and I think we have to shed multiple times, because once we shed ourselves into a new identity, and I think there's a new one to come, like a better one, if we're constantly evolving and growing into a different person. I don't think it's just one shedding of an identity. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's
the sad thing is to get stuck with an identity, to get stuck with one identity and not move away from there.
And I think majority of people are stuck. And I think a lot of people are stuck with what they think other people think their identity should be. Like I say this a lot. Is I do truly believe this. I do truly believe that most people's thoughts are thoughts and opinions of other people. I really do. When I listen to people talk, when I hear them share with me, when I hear them struggling, when I hear them talking about why they can't get where they want to go, it's usually based on other people's thoughts and opinions of them. And they can't get past what other people think is because they can't overcome the past that they've been through. They can't forgive themselves. They can't let go. They can't gather up, or they can't muster up the courage to step outside into the unfamiliar zone. People call it the comfort zone. I don't call it the comfort zone because nothing comfortable can live there. I call it the familiar zone. Yeah, people live in the familiar zone of life. They live in this same old, whatever you want to call it, rat race routine, where it's not even home to work. It's home, work, take the kids to sports, come home, sit there and stare at yourself and ask why you're not doing what you want to do, right? Gary Vaynerchuk says, man, what are you doing from 10 at night to 1 in the morning? You complain you don't have time. You complain you don't do this. In order to become that hero, you got to do things that most people are unwilling to do to get the results that most people will never have. And most people will talk about you on the way of you succeeding because they're too uncomfortable and they're too lazy or they're too stuck.
But it's also what you said a little while ago. It's also about like your thinking. So in order the type of person you're describing is someone who is stuck in the program of going from waking up, going to work, coming back from work, taking the kids to the practice, coming back home, washing the clothes, doing the food, going and then doing the same thing every day. It's like we're stuck in a program. So in order for that transformation to happen, we need to have new thinking. Like I think of it like in business. So if a business isn't, if you own a business but you're not innovating, you're going to die. Your business is going to die. You have to constantly be innovating. So today in a business, I have to be thinking of my business. How do I want my business to look in 5 years and try to be that business today? And Peter Drucker teaches that. Like he teaches that if you want to be a thriving business, you constantly you cannot be working in the past and you shouldn't even be working in the present. You have to be working on how you want your business to look in 5 years. Amen. So I apply that to us. We cannot be thinking of who we were and dragging that with us, and we can't even be thinking of what is currently around us. We have to think about how do I want my life to look 5 years from now and do everything right now to try to create it. In other words, it's like if I have to reach into the future, grab it and pull it to me. And that's sort of like what you do in business as well. Because otherwise we're dying. If we're not innovating ourselves and reinventing and recreating ourselves, and if we're not being the hero in our life to actually sort of warp time and pull time forward to us, what's happening to us, I think we're dying. I think, and it's like I always talk about the spiritual death. And I think that's like sort of what a spiritual death is, when we stop growing in all ways. Yes.
You done? What?
Yes.
you just dead ended that. That sucker was just like boom, and you were done.
You look like you wanted to say something. You're like, When you start going, I'm like, those are signs that he wants to say something.
No, I was taking in what you were saying, and I think it's
Which part do you like? The innovation part or the pulling
the innovation part is so critical, but you were talking about, like machines. But I'm going to be honest with you. We were designed. God created us to work. God created us to work. He didn't create us to sit around and do nothing and collect. He created us to work. He created us to be productive, right? But I think so many times is we think that we're always trying to find this easy path. See, heroes don't find the easy path. Heroes take the hard way out, because the old saying is if you take the hard way out now, your life will get easier as you get older. But if you take the easy way out now, as you get older, your life will get harder. See, I don't want to be 65 and my life be struggling financially, spiritually, relationship-wise, physically, mentally, because I decided to take the easy way out and not push through the discomfort, not push through the setbacks, and not push through the pains that God created for me to become the exact person that I am today. So I believe this. Not only do I believe that God has given us this gift of life, God has given us a gift of life. God has given us a gift of work, not a job. God has given us a gift of life. He's given us a gift of work, but he's also given us a gift inside the life that we have. He's also given us the gift to accumulate and to serve and to bless and to love and to cherish. So those are small gifts inside the massive gift of life. And most people will go through their whole life and never cherish anything. Most people will go through life and never truly love. Most people will go through life focused such on self and never getting outside of themselves to focus on others. But first, you need to let go of the things that are holding you back. You need to release. That's the thing. Is this a releasing? You need to release yourself and give yourself permission that, if this is going to be my life, then I'm going to live life on my terms. I'm not going to let the setbacks of life define me. I'm not going to let my neighbors define me. I'm not going to let the people who know me from 10 years ago define me. This is my life, and I'm going to live it the way Raymond wants to live it, and I'm going to define it my way as long as I'm aligned with God's purpose in my life. And no matter what anybody else throws at you, that's when the hero comes out. The hero comes out because it's like, I don't care what you think of me. I love you.
You don't care? Whenever we talk about like living life on our terms, like it's so easy to say, live life on your terms. But how do we live life on our terms? How do we live life on our terms?
First, you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. You got to have a destination. It's if I'm going to Florida, right? And I've never been to Florida, wouldn't I use a specific tool, a GPS, a map, something? Am I just going to get on the road and start driving? No, not me, because I get lost in my own neighborhood.
You could call me. I'll tell you how to get down here. No, because you'll end up like in another place.
I am so not listening to your directions.
For real.
You get lost using the GPS.
I know. Shh. Guys, that happened to me twice this past week. But yeah, definitely to live life on your terms, you definitely have to have someone with a vision, with goals, with a plan, and you have to take steps. It's not just about saying, "Oh, I want to live life on my terms" and stuff like that. And and blah blah blah. It's about having the plan and every single day doing stuff towards it. How many people listening here, if you do this, put a 1. How many people here are actually do something every day that moves you closer to your goal? How many people here actually do that? Trav says, "SARAI NAMMUR work." I don't know what he means.
He means you better work.
It's telling me to work. I'm on vacation, guys. I'm still in a hotel. I'm living out of a hotel now. But how many people really do this? Because we say that, but most people are running by the program that they've been running on for years and years. How many people are challenging themselves and doing something different that scares you, that makes you uncomfortable, that isn't the norm on a daily basis? You know, you have to get your nervous system used to being in a situation that you're not comfortable with. Yeah, you have to
therapy.
Yeah, because if the more you're able to do that, the more you're able to pump the muscle of being in uncomfortable or unusual situations or things that are out of the norm, the less scared you're gonna be to do things. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Just doing something, even if the different thing is getting out. You know what? This is gonna sound really dumb, but it's really true what I'm about to tell you. Even if it's getting out of the other side of the bed, doing things out of order in your morning, doing something different. Like today after you eat, go outside and take a long walk, which probably if you never take a long walk, and I just said that, you're probably going, what? Take a walk? But that's exactly what I mean. If you cringe at something that is something that you're not used to doing, that's what I mean. Do something different, and your body will get used to. Your nervous, it's your way of breaking out of the pattern, out of the program that we're all on, because we're all on some program that we've been used to for a very long time. Does that make sense?
I would say consistent implementation. Right? I would say in order, like, this is. An old mentor told me one time, he says, if you ain't reading anything new, then you're not worth talking to. Because what he's saying is you can't stay in the same place day after day after day after day. Nothing good grows there. Nothing good grows in stagnicity. Nothing good grows when you remain the same as you always were. Implementation is everything. And what is implementation? That means these books that I'm reading, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to try something that I read and implement it into my life. What's the worst that can happen when you implement something? It doesn't work. You might look stupid for a minute, but like most people are so afraid to do anything different that they'll spend their whole lives running from the very thing they know they need to do in order to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you hide from that, the more of a villain you become to yourself and your hero gets drowned out. That's how you kill a hero. You kill a hero by keeping the hero inside of himself. Heroes need to be recognized. Heroes need to step outside of who they truly are so they can become who they were created to be. Man, I'm about to go on a whole sermon tonight.
For real. We're not even talking about like the points. Alexander says, we'll do this and think of what you're saying. Sarai, yes, learn and grow and do new things every day. Yes,
Every day.
Do something different and weird and strange and whatever it is. Do something
Too weird though.
different.
Don't get all weird where I gotta call the cops though, please.
Brian says, fear has a lot of power, but if you find a way to put the fear behind you and use the fear to push you forward.
Amen.
Yes, it's not even, it's about, it's not about, okay, so it's about the getting leveraging yourself with the fear of not doing what you told yourself you're going to do. You know, if you have a goal or something in front of you that you are supposed to be going for, if you have a goal that you're striving for, then imagine the fear of not doing that, of what's going to happen if 5 years go by and you didn't do what you just promised yourself to do. That's the fear that you need to use. That's the fear that's useful, because the fear that holds you prisoner, the fear that doesn't allow you to move, that's the fear that will keep you. 10 years will roll up and you're still in the program. You still didn't do what you said you were going to do. You still didn't really change. You still didn't take that chance. So we need to create fear. Fear is, we have the power of creating these things. We could create the fear. We could write down, if I don't do this now, what am I going to lose? What am I not going to discover about myself? What is it that I'm not, you know, these are the type of questions that you need to ask. I'm not going to go on with that. Why are you laughing?
She said, what am I? I thought we was listening to a record. I was about to go.
Quiet.
Listen. When you were saying that, this is all I could think of. You will only do what you believe you can do. Now listen to that. You will only do what you believe you can do. So the way you think of yourself, the way you believe in yourself is only what you're going to accomplish in your lifetime. You will only do what you believe you can do. That's why when I'm coaching people, I want them to understand that your why has to be deeper than just surface level. When people come to me and they say, well, you know, I want to be an entrepreneur. Well, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Because I don't want to be broke. Why don't you want to be broke? Well, because I remember growing up as a kid, you know, my dad was never there. And then I'm like, and how did that make you feel? Well, it just made me feel helpless. So when you start to get down to the core reason of the why, you really start to get them to understand that it's not about entrepreneurship. It's about security. It's about being there for your children. It's so people need to get the surface level stuff out of their mind. Material things are good, but eternal things last forever. So we need to understand you have to think bigger. You have to see yourself. I always say, I need to become the man that I wish the young me had. I need to be that leader that the young Raymond needed back then. What kind of leader did that young man Raymond need? I need to be that man now. And by being that man, I need to consistently grow so I can do it for other people as well, right? I think that's important.
Have you defined who that man is? Have you defined who that, because it's about saying that, but then breaking it down into smaller pieces and really defining who is that man that you needed to have when you were young? Who is it? Like, and draw it. Like really break it down into pieces, because the more
that's the blueprint.
Have you done that?
That's the blueprint of life. Yeah, I mean that's the, you got to look at life in each area. But I feel like, so it's like a pizza pie, right? This is how I define it. A pizza pie, a large pizza comes in 8 slices. And then in each slice you put which part of your life, whether it's faith, whether spiritual, whether it's relationships, whether it's family, whether it's finances, whether it's community, whatever it is, and then you need to grade yourself on a 0 to 10, right? In a lot of these areas, if you're honest with yourself, you're not going to be at a very high level. You're not going to be at a very high level. So you're going to be a broken wheel. When you get a wheel that does this, it doesn't turn as much. So now you got a starting point. Okay, well, how do I get better spiritually? Well, first you need to start going to the Word of God. Maybe you need to start understanding who He is, so you can start to understand who you are. Well, where am I in relationships? Well, okay, I'm a 3 at relationships. Just say I'm a 3 at relationships, because why? I was hanging around with drunkards, drug addicts, people with depression, people who are cheating on their spouses, people who are fighting all the time. I didn't have a very good score in relationships. So as I started to realize that, what did I start? I started to understand that in order for me to grow as a man, I needed to change the men that I hung around with. Now I started to put myself around men who were married for 25, 30 years. I started to put around myself men who had pride in the relationships they had. The fact that they didn't indulge in drinking. They didn't indulge in addiction. They were overcoming. They were reading the books. So you start to do these things in each area of your life. That starts to define who you want to be. Well, who do I want to be as a I'd like to be a 10 all the way around. I'd like to have a perfectly round tire. Will I ever get there? Probably never, really ever. Huh?
That's really difficult to do, because usually when you're focused in one area of your life, the other ones weaken a little bit.
But see, that's the thing. So there's some people who say, focus on your strengths and not your weaknesses. I don't believe that. I believe that your strengths, you continue to polish your strengths, but you still study and you improve on your weaknesses, because your weaknesses will be detrimental to your growth. Because if all you're good at is one thing, right, then some of the other things are going to fail behind you. They're going to fall behind you, and you're not going to be able to be who you exactly need to be and lead the people that you need to lead. How can I teach people how to have better relationships? Say my relationship skills is weak. How can I teach people I'm coaching to have better relationships if I'm not willing to do it myself? So I believe that there's an old thing, and it was. So my first mentor introduced me to his mentor, who wrote a book, right? And it was called Launching the Leadership Revolution. And it was based on the trilateral leadership ledger. And it was based on 3 things: character, task, and relationships. And they believe with who you are as a character, with the relationships that you have, and the task that you set before you, that you can really succeed at super high levels. And it makes so much sense. There's a lot more detail into it, but you know how I feel about character, right? I believe that everything rises and falls on leadership, and leadership is nothing but one's character.
Okay. Well, you know that we only did point 1, right? So I'm going to do it really fast. Point 2 is commit to showing up as the best version of you. I think we've talked plenty about that. Number 3 is forgive yourself for mistakes and take them as lessons. You talked about that at the beginning, so we did that one. Number 3 was be reliable and show up for yourself. We've already talked about that. Number 5, the road to serving others and being a blessing to others is to first serve and develop yourself. I don't know how much we did that one. I don't know what some people just serve and don't pour and grow themselves. So I believe that you have to really serve yourself and develop yourself, so you have more to give to others. You're just staying quiet. Number 6 is
become your number one asset. Become your number one asset, right? Because if you're not an asset, then you're what?
An ass?
No, you're a liability. You're either an asset or you're a liability, right? Become your greatest asset. Benjamin Franklin says, "Don't put a man's wallet into dump a man's purse into his head, he'll never be broke. Right? So the investment into yourself become the greatest asset. I wish I could sit down with everybody and have 2-hour conversation with them, because I guarantee you after a 2-hour conversation, either you're going to get up pissed off and never accomplish anything, or you're going to understand that you have an imaginable power inside of you, and you're going to be willing to attack life at a new angle. Either way, but you get to choose. That's the greatest thing in life. That's the greatest thing about becoming your own hero, is you get to choose whether you want to do it or not. And I'm not here to force anybody. I don't try to force anybody. I came up, after coming back from South Carolina this weekend, is I came up with the consumption that that there's only one thing to do in life, right? And that's just to give it all you got. Give it all you got. Give everything you got at this thing called life. What do you have to lose? What do you got to lose?
Exactly. It's like Heather says, or you're going to walk away pissed off. It's true. Exactly. That's one of the worst things, is to walk away with regrets. That's like the scariest thing on earth for me. Like, more scarier than anything is to feel regretful of not doing what was set in me to do. I'd rather give it a shot and then walk away upset than to walk away upset because I never tried. So regret is like one of the scariest things for me, actually, scariest and worst things that could happen. She's number 6. Did I already say this one? Okay. Number 6 is watch what you say to yourself about yourself. This is thing, again, let's go back to the original talk, which was be your own hero. So watch what you say to yourself about yourself. You cannot be your own hero when you're doubting yourself and talking down to yourself. And I hear so many people do that. So many people use words to describe themselves that you would never even use on anyone else. You would never dare to speak to other people the way you speak to yourself. And when you speak something, it's so scary to say things, because when you speak something, it becomes so real in your body. One thing is to think something, but the minute the words come out of your mouth, your body feels it. Your body feels them. So be careful with the things that you say to yourself. If you want to be your own hero, or for that matter, anybody's hero, be careful with the words that you say to describe yourself or describe that person, because then it becomes part of your identity. It becomes part of your truth, or part of that person's identity or truth. So that was a big one for me. I was going to tell you earlier to find a verse on that, because I'm pretty sure there's a verse on that. But it is so important. Like, this is one area that people could be very, very undisciplined at. And I've come to the point where even if I think something, I try not to say it, because I know the power of words right now. So number 7, dare to dream big. A hero will not allow you to shrink yourself. So I think a hero is just like a good coach or a good parent who is pushing you towards your highest possibilities and your highest self. And they're seeing not your mistakes and not your errors, but they're seeing the greatness in you and what's best in you. And if I'm able to see you through your greatness, that means that if I put on the glasses, let me put on my glasses. If I put on my glasses where I'm able to see through all the weaknesses and I only see the greatness, then I'm also able to see all the possibilities that exist within you. And that's what I want, for everyone to see themselves. Don't look at yourself through the lens of what I did, my mistakes, what they've said about me. Look at yourself through your greatness. Look at yourself through the possibilities that exist within you, because man, you could do so much. We're so much more powerful than what we give ourselves credit for. And we're capable of doing so much. And the only thing that stops us are what you said earlier at the very beginning, Raymond, which is our words. Our words and our thoughts stop us from really getting to the point where we could be our greatest version of ourselves. And do you have something to say? Because I just took over everything. I've said every point. You haven't said nothing. Are you going to say anything?
How am I going to say anything when you're just rambling?
I am not rambling. Go, say something.
She's rambling, guys. I don't know. it goes back to the Albert Einstein quote. What's the Albert Einstein quote? You cannot solve your problems with the same level of thinking that created it. I mean, I think that pretty much sums it up, is the level of thinking that you've had up to this point. You're not going to be able to solve the problems you have with that level of thinking, which means you got to do what? You got to level up. You got to level up. You got to level up. But like I said before, when you say that the hero doesn't let people shrink, but remember, the hero only realizes how much of a hero he is by that self-reflection, that kind of pain that set him back, that transformation where he went back and he kind of ran away from his calling. All heroes, if you watch every single movie, each one of them ran away from their calling, right? Because there was a setback in their life. The pain got too great for the calling on their shoulders, right? But that pain is what pushes you to your purpose. And when you start to live in your purpose, then you're not going to let other people shrink. But the key is you're also not going to hold people to what they say they want if they don't really want it. Being a hero means sometimes sometimes being a hero means you have to walk away from those people that are trying to bring you back down too.
Have you noticed that it's in I know we're talking movies now, but have you noticed that in those movies, it's at the point of your greatest pain that your greatest transformation happens?
Well, yeah, absolutely. But
usually when you're most frustrated and most in pain and struggling is when actually everything is mixing and your transformations happening. Have you noticed that?
Absolutely. You know, there's something that, you know, I'm fascinated by leadership, and I don't know who wrote it. It might have been John Maxwell. You know, John Maxwell, everybody puts either John Maxwell or Winston Churchill. Who knows it? Could be Winston Churchill. But it's average leaders raise the bar on themselves, right? Average leaders raise the bar on themselves. Good leaders raise the bar for others. But great leaders inspire others to raise the bar on themselves. That's heroism. To me, that is true. That is being a true hero, is that you inspire other people. You inspire other people to become better. You don't dictate to them. You don't push them. You don't prod them. You inspire them. They want to be around you. They want to listen to you. They want to hear what you have to say. They want to build with you. They want to grow with you. And I think that is a tremendous thing. And that is, but first you have to inspire yourself. We go back to that. We go back to that. You can only become what you think of yourself. And if you don't think highly of yourself, then I'm sorry to tell you guys, you're not really going to get too far in life, because life's got other plans for you. You have to control your emotions. You have to control your thoughts. You have to understand what that desire is that you want. And then you have to make a conscious effort and decision to say, you know what? I'm not who I want to be, but I'm building to who I need to become. And you need to be okay with that. And you need to become your greatest asset, not liability. Because every time you talk down on yourself, every time you have a negative thought, every time you build yourself on one of those relationships that you say you just can't get out of, they've been my friend for 30 years. And I want to tell people, that's been your friend for 30 years and you still act the same way. Maybe you need a new friend. I'm sorry.
So Alexander says we should speak to ourselves like we would someone we love and respect. Exactamundo. Exact. This is Debbie Hernandez. This is my cousin. She says, but our mistakes are a huge part of our past. But the key word there, Debbie, is that our mistakes are part of our past. They're not who we currently are, and they're not who we're striving to become. So it's really about figuring out what you could extract from that mistake. What lesson can you take from that mistake so it doesn't repeat itself, and then strive towards becoming who you're trying to become. So whoever it is that you're trying to become, start doing things right now to be that person, and you don't bring along the mistake, you bring along the lesson you learned from that mistake. You want to add something, Raymond?
No, I read that too, and it's a huge, our past is a huge part of our future, right? Because without our past, we can't learn to have a better future.
Right,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? It's okay. I made this financial investment, right? I made this financial investment. It was a bad mistake. I won't do that again in the future, right? It's everything that every mistake that we've made is a learning process for what not to do in the future. We need to understand that correction is necessary, but we must correct ourselves, because look, if you don't correct yourself, life will correct you.
That was so
And
good. I put it up there.
what?
You said without our
Oh,
past, we cannot learn to have a better future.
it's
That's
it's
really
and
good.
it's so true, and it's so true. So I think we how do I want to say this?
I don't know.
We are our own door. We are our own door. Either we can shut the door to what God has in store for us, or we can align ourselves and open the door so we can become who we're meant to become, right? Because the biblical saying is, God will close a door that no man can open, and God will open a door that no man can close. But nowhere does it say that God will push you or pull you through the door. You still got a decision to make, guys. You still got a decision to make. And you have to understand that where you come from does not define to where you're going, but where you're going can define everything about where you've been, because that's the thing that's going to encourage people to want to change too. Because people are going to look at me and they're going to be like, holy crap, if that dude can do it, I know him. I know what he's done. I know what he's been through. I know the things he did. Holy, if Raymond can do it. And that's got to be the courage. And you know what? If you want to use me as an example because of who I've become, man, that to me, that speaks volumes about what God has done for me in my life. And then I can boast on my God. I can boast on what God has done for me, because really my ultimate goal is to move the kingdom of God forward through the transformation, through the leadership process. But really, when it all boils down to it, is I want to point everything back to how great and how merciful that my Father God is.
Mm. So my last point goes with what you just said, and you actually said it, which is this is the last one. Practice courage. We've already said a lot about it, but all of this that we're talking about requires a lot of courage. But imagine, I'm hearing like that little sound again that your thing does. But so imagine, let's think about this is what I want you guys to think about. It takes courage to live the type of life that we want to live, right? And the dream, and to actually make our dreams come true, and do everything we want to do. But imagine what type of courage you need to have to not live that life, to not go for the things you want to go for, to not create your dreams, and to not create yourself. What type of courage do you have to go through life and never do these things? That's scary. So that's my 2 cents on courage. What are your 2 cents on courage?
My 2 cents on courage is I want to say being courageous is man, how many of you guys have just seen somebody who's done something amazing and you've just been mind blown, and you think to yourself, wow, what courage. You know what I mean? People to face the fiery lines of opposition, to have the courage to step out of the unknown, to have the courage to start that business, to have the courage to endeavor into uncharted waters. I think that's so powerful. the one thing I want you guys to understand, and some of you that are listening to this, I want you to understand that the prize that you want in life, the prize that you want has to be bigger than the price that you have to pay, right? You have to have, the prize has to be bigger than the price, right? Because you're not going to pay a price for something that ain't worth it to you. That's why you need your why. That's why you need to know where your destination lies. That's why you have to understand that this is bigger than you. It's not just about you. It's about those that are coming after you. It's about those that are watching you. It's about those that have never had the courage to do it themselves, and they're going to bed at night wishing and hoping that they have somebody speak something into them, because nobody in their life is doing that. So the prize has to be bigger than the price. You have to have a vision that's bigger than the fear, right? You have to have you have to constantly have your eyes on the prize, because when you're going through the price that it takes, you know that the effort and what you're doing is going to be worth it at the end. So that's being courageous. Being courageous, again, it's the John Wayne thing. It's being scared to death and saddling up anyways, and not even knowing what's coming in your direction. And then, people think that you pay a price by chasing your dream. People think that there's a price to pay by chasing your dream. But let me tell you this. There's a much greater price to pay when you don't chase your dream. There's a much greater price to pay when you don't become the hero in your own story. There's a much greater price to pay when you don't perform up to the level of capability that God has given you. Because you can chase your dream, or you can live in an average, lazy, methodical life. And I'm telling you right now, either way, you're going to live another 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, God willing. If you're going to live that long, why not give it every damn thing you got?
Mm-hmm. And with that, we're done with all of our points.
Ooh, so energetic.
Well,
you said that with so much enthusiasm.
Ooh, well, I don't have that much enthusiasm then, apparently, if that's what you're saying.
I want to read you guys something, right? In Corinthians 1, 3, 18, 19, it says this. It says, stop deceiving yourselves. If you think you are wise by the world's standards, you need to become a fool to truly be wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness to God. And what that means is don't be wise to the world. Don't be wise to your friends. Don't be wise to the people that don't really care. Be wise in a spiritual form. Be wise to yourself. Be wise to the thing that God cares about, right? Stop trying to impress people and focus on impressing God. I always say one thing. I say, when you can learn to play for an audience of one, everything else will go by the side.
I'm sorry, Ryan is distracting me. Ryan is having a side conversation.
What?
That's like, sorry. Thanks for the Thrive Talk. I love them. Wishing you both the best. Today is Transformational Talk. But yes. Anyway, guys, Raymond, are you done with everything that you were going to say?
I'm waiting, like...
Guys, we're just... What happened?
I don't know what you're doing.
It's Ryan's fault. It's Ryan's fault.
Not. Come on, get it together, man. Get it together.
Anyway, guys, we went through all the points already. I think this will be the last.
Man, look, we don't care about no points. Look, we had a transformational talk. The whole obstacle is not to get through points. It's not to get through points.
Okay.
It's to add value. There ain't nothing greater than to add value to people who need it, right? I'm a coach. Sarai's got her own business. I'm a coach. You know, I also have another business that I'm in, you know, and it's not like we have all the time in the world, but this is something that we take seriously because the whole obstacle is there's going to be lives that are going to be changed. There's going to be people that step into their own hero. You know, become who you were designed to become. And if you don't know, then I'm going to tell you, I'm putting it on you. If you don't have direction, it's your fault. If you don't have an idea, it's your fault. If you don't know where to go, it's your fault. The great thing is all you got to do is ask. And we can find out where you're supposed to be and what you need to do to start the process in order to become who you need to become, to get where you need to go, right? We can, I mean, but this currently, this life is your life. It ain't my life. It ain't Sarai's life. It's your life. I got to live my life according to what I think God has called for me. Sarai's got to do the same thing. And each one of you has a responsibility to yourselves, right? To your family. And not even really a responsibility to your family, but it's that legacy. You got a responsibility to your legacy.
Right. So we're here every week, guys. Like Raymond just said, we're here every week to help you in your transformation. We know that we're all going through, everyone's in it. I mean, sometimes you've said this before. You said you're either going through something, coming out of something, or, those three things that you say. So we're all in one of those areas, and we're here to help you along the way. We're here every week to guide you through the transformation, hopefully give you something, even if it's one thing that you receive in the week that will help you, that will push you further and closer to your dream life, to your greatest self, to the most authentic you. I understand that a lot of times we get robbed of our authentic selves with things that have happened to us. And I personally want to awaken you to who you really are and who you were really meant to be. So I hope you got something awesome today. If you did, just go ahead and tell us what your greatest takeaway for today is. I would love to know what you liked best about today. What was the greatest point you received, and how that will help you with your transformation. And with that, we will say good night to everyone. Are you putting music on to say good night or something?
No.
Now you're acting like me. Are you trying?
I was trying.
You're the distracted one.
I was trying to find this quote that I wanted to leave everybody with. And I don't know if I'm going to be able. I found it earlier and I thought I highlighted it. It's. Remember this. I want you to remember this. It's about alignment, it's success is when what you think, say, and do are the same. Think about that. Success is when what you say, think, and do are the same.
That's good.
Woo.
That's really awesome. Should type that up. That was really good.
That was by Darren Hardy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You've been following him.
So, guys, with that, this is your transformational thought with Transformational Talk with Ray and Saraí. And this is Becoming the Hero. Next week, we have some special guests, which is going to be the young up-and-comers. I have no idea. I have no idea what to expect. But so join us next week. And tomorrow, Sarai's got Thrive Talk at 7. Oh, no, you don't?
I don't think no, we don't have Thrive Talk tomorrow.
Okay, she doesn't have Thrive Talk, which means you all can come join me at 8:30, where I will be doing Next Generational Leaders with a friend and a good young man that I mentor, Dion Payne Miller. So join us tomorrow night at 8:30. He's a young man from Indiana who's got aspirations greater than most 40-year-olds I know. So with that, I love you guys.
Good night, everyone.
I am your man, and you guys know you can if you guys are ready to do anything great, you already know what you need to do.
Call Raymond. Bye. Bye, everyone.
No, first call on yourself. And when you're ready, then you call me.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Love you guys.